Here with more insight on the case against them is Frederick Tecce. He's a former assistant U.S. attorney in the criminal division. He's currently an attorney at McShea Tecce. And Fred, you and I were talking during the break about how there hasn't been an indictment yet. So does that mean that there's just one coming around the corner?
Well, there definitely is an indictment coming, Scarlet. You know, when the government charges by what's called a complaint warrant, which is, what we saw yesterday, this complaint that was issued against the government, against these individuals, you actually have 30 days with which to indict. And what this tells me, looking at everything, going back into September with the search warrants, going back to the efforts to get people to wear a wire that you saw in October and November, what this tells me is that the government's put together a rather large and far-reaching indictment, and I will bet you lunch at my favorite restaurant, and you can supersize your extra value meal and keep the toy, that it will include hedge funds. Because if you read this complaint, which I have read now, it talks about the fact that these individuals were paid to give insider information to the hedge funds. And when you think about it, the insider information, such as the information that's held by AMD or Dell, that's important to them. They don't want anybody to know about it. These middlemen, these kind of experts or consultants, they have no legitimate reason to give that information to outside third parties. And then the hedge funds, to those guys, it's the goose that laid the golden egg. It's got the information that they need to profit and make money from. So, given the way this has been set up and given what the value is of that information and to whom it is valuable, I fully anticipate, I quite frankly will be amazed if we do not have indictments against hedge funds that come out within the next 30 days.
And would it have to be a big name hedge fund for the government's case to be considered a success?
Well, you know what? If you're the named defendant in a criminal case, it's always a big case to you. And I think it's a big splash to the government. And I think what you're seeing here, and I think the U.S. attorneys really kind of alluded to this, is I see that, the government's trying to send a message to these hedge funds that gathering information in this instance, this is a lot different than kind of hard work, nose to the grindstone research and being smart, intuitive, and doing things like that are all legitimate. This is going out, this is paying money to people who know that the information that they're giving you is not supposed to be given to you,
right?
And then trying to profit from it. And yes, of course, the bigger the hedge fund, the bigger the message that the government will send. But, ultimately, the message does get out.
This brings to mind what James Fleishman's job description is. He was at Primary Global, and his job was to play matchmaker between hedge funds and company insiders. To what extent can he do his job legally? I mean, he can do all the due diligence, but hedge fund managers can do that as well.
They can, and if he's going to do that job, and he's going to do it legitimately, he has to make sure that both his clients, the hedge funds, and his clients, the companies with insider information, understand that no information can be given that's not generally available to the public. And quite frankly, why would you pay him if he wasn't going to give you inside information? I mean, if all you're going to do is matchmake or marry up publicly available information and do this legitimately, then where's the profit motive for him?
Let's talk about the timeline for a bit, because this whole thing began when Rajaratnam was arrested last fall.
Correct.
And then you had Don Chu, who was arrested last month in November, and now this latest leg. Is this taking a long time to unfold, or is this happening relatively quickly?
No, quite frankly, in my opinion, given the scope of the investigation and given the fact, these are complicated issues, I think this investigation is moving very, very quickly. And I think what you're seeing is that the government has indicted these or charged these 5 people. And if I was the assistant U.S. attorney, I would charge them in an effort to try and get them to cooperate, because I want them to be involved. What I used to say when I was a prosecutor, when you make ham and eggs, the chicken may be involved, but the pig is committed. I want these guys committed to helping me and have skin in the game. And given that they have criminal liability, or we see that they've been alleged to have criminal liability, they have a motivation now to cooperate to try and mitigate their sentence going forward. And so as the prosecutor, I picked these 5 guys, or I would have picked these 5 or 6 guys as people who I thought would be most likely to be able to what we used to say, flip and cooperate, as that guy DeVore from Dell has already started to do.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll be watching this space then over the next 30 days for some kind of indictment. Thank you so much, Fred Tecce,
former assistant
U.S. attorney.